India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi returned to New Delhi, and this happened this morning after Modi completed a five-nation tour. Prime Minister Modi's tour spanned from July 2nd to 9th, covering Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago, Argentina, Brazil and Namibia, and included Modi's participation at the 17th BRICS Summit held in Rio de Janeiro. Now, according to India's Ministry of External Affairs, Prime Minister Modi's five-nation visit was a productive and successful tour. He reached a significant milestone in his diplomatic journey, having now delivered 17 speeches to foreign parliaments, matching the cumulative record of all Congress prime ministers before him. Now, in his first leg, the Indian Prime Minister visited Ghana's capital, Accra, marking the first such visit in over 30 years. He met President John Mahama. Holding bilateral talks, the leaders agreed to upgrade bilateral ties to a comprehensive partnership focusing on economic, energy, defense and development cooperation. Prime Minister Modi was also conferred with Ghana's highest civilian honor, the Officer of the Order of the Star of Ghana. Then on the 3rd of July, Prime Minister travelled to Trinidad and Tobago, marking the first such visit by an Indian Prime Minister since 1999. He met Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessar, addressed the country's parliament and announced OCI cards for up to the 6th generation of Trinidad and Tobago's Indian community. He was conferred the nation's highest honour, the Order of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, during a ceremonial event at the President's house in Port of Spain. Then on the 4th of July, Prime Minister visited Argentina, meeting President Javier Milei to strengthen bilateral ties in defense, agriculture, energy, trade and people-to-people relations. He described the visit as productive and was presented with the key to the city of Buenos Aires. The fourth leg of Prime Minister Modi's tour took him to Brazil, where he attended the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro from July 6th to 7th. He was given a state visit and even travelled to Brasilia, where he held talks with Brazilian President Lula da Silva to strengthen India-Brazil ties, including trade, defense, energy, space, technology, agriculture, health and people-to-people linkages. Prime Minister Modi was conferred with Brazil's highest civilian honor, the Grand Collar of the National Order of the Southern Cross. And in the final leg of his five-nation tour, Prime Minister visited Namibia on his way back to India, where he delivered a landmark address to the Namibian Parliament, receiving a warm standing ovation from lawmakers. During his visit, he was honoured with Namibia's highest civilian award, the Order of the Most Ancient Weltwisher Mirabilis, presented by the President himself. All right, for more on this, our Assistant Director for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibal, joins me on the broadcast. Siddhant, what a diplomatic blitz it's been for the Indian Prime Minister. 5 nations within a week, 8 days at most. He's been accorded with so many honours across all the countries he's visited. Of course, the state visit to Brazil, that hasn't happened in decades, among the other nations. Give us a roundup of, the bigger points here.
Well, a significant visit of the Indian Prime Minister, the five-nation tour, which is one of the longest visits of the Indian Prime Minister since 2014. Now, essentially, focus was from everything, whether it's critical minerals, that's rare earth, to vaccines, to, of course, multilateral focus with, of course, the BRICS Summit, to, of course, the Africa component. When it comes to his first leg in Ghana, the focus was on the vaccines, the COVID vaccines. They want to have a hub when it comes to vaccines, followed by Trinidad and Tobago, where the country is celebrating the 180th anniversary of the first arrival of Indians. In Argentina, the focus remains on rare earth, critical minerals and shale gas. In Brazil, focus both on BRICS Summit, where of course India was handed over the chairmanship of the BRICS grouping. India will be hosting the summit next year, and also in terms of the BRICS grouping condemning the Pahalgam terror attack, which is a big diplomatic victory for India, and also reforming of the United Nations Security Council, the global governance institutions. There was a state visit as well, as you pointed out. It's after over 50 years, 57 to be exact, that an Indian Prime Minister is on a state visit to Brazil, and we saw when it comes to India-Brazil relationship, focus remains on how to elevate the relationship further. He closed his entire visit from Africa. He started with Africa, closed from Africa, where in Namibia, we know that focus was on defense cooperation. India has announced a line of credit to Namibia to buy Indian defense equipments, assets. India is becoming a leading exporter of defense products. The malarial kits announcement came that India will be giving kits to Namibia, and focus remains on as to how India reaches out to Africa, both in Ghana and in Namibia. The Indian Prime Minister addressed the parliaments and talked about as to how Africa needs to be part of a reformed United Nations Security Council. But largely this five-nation tour was also about sending a message on the global south as to how India is reaching out to global south. There are plans underway for the next edition of the Global South Summit that India has been hosting. This time, of course, it could be in person.
Siddhant, you pretty much rounded it all up, but there is a lot to unpack going forward. We'll get to know what this entire diplomatic effort will lead to, and that's going to happen very soon, the way things are evolving. Thanks so much. That was Siddhant Sibal joining me on the broadcast.